Welcome in. First recap of the year. It is fantasy football. First official recap of the year. This is fantasy football playoff time. So we got me and Jake here with you. And Jake, this is not the first time that me and you have tried to do a recap.
Nope. We're going to have to repeat everything we talked about last week.
This was a big plan. It was going into the last week of the regular season, do a nice little recap. Me and Jake got on here. We gave some great discussion. It was fantastic. And then I used my work laptop because the old one I couldn't find wasn't really working very well. So I'm like, that's fine. I'll just use the newer one that's my work one anyway. So turns out only Applied Materials employees are ever going to be able to watch that recap. So Bart, Zach, they can see it. Ryan is going to be able to watch it, but nobody else. So I couldn't post it.
Rip.
Sorry. There's a week 13, 2023 recap floating out there. But we're back, and if hopefully you're all seeing this. So
Yep. I want everyone to watch it, even Kyle, even Hilsh, even Drew. I know all of you are probably not even gonna watch this, and if you do, I want you to say it in the chat that you watched it. Prove me wrong.
Yes, absolutely. And with the recaps too, like I know we didn't really do them this year. So the plan I think that will be a good plan for next year is going to be like week 1, we'll do one because we're all excited about the year. We'll probably wait a little bit, do another one close to like halfway through this, maybe like week 4, 5, 6 range. Another like a few weeks after that, week 10, 11, 12, and then come playoff time, we'll be doing them. So I'm going to plan on doing them from here on out this year. And then around playoff time, I think is a good time to do them weekly.
Awesome.
So that'll be the plan. And so since we haven't done it, I'll kind of get into weekly prizes. So Drew won the weekly prize this past week, and we'll talk about all the stuff that happened last week, and he missed the playoffs, but he did get the weekly prize. So in total this year, we had 2 teams get 3 weekly prizes. That's Noah and Bart. Makes sense. Top 2 teams in the league that got the first round bye. We had 2 teams get 2 weekly prizes. That's Andre and Ryan. We had a bunch of teams with 1. That's Drew, who got it last week, his first one. You have 1, I have 1, and Chris, who came in dead last, also got 1. 2 people with 0. Kyle, who, kind of makes sense, came in 9th, almost dead last. Sam Bevins, 4th place in the playoffs, 0 weekly prizes.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Sam's got a good team too. I guess he just doesn't have a high enough ceiling on his team.
Crazy.
High floor, low ceiling team.
He said it himself. He hadn't been the top scorer, but he's been like 2nd, 3rd so many times. Never got a weekly prize. So, but hey, maybe he's saving them for the playoffs, which would be bad news from me.
That's right.
So that's where we stand on those, or where we finished on those. Weekly prizes are over. So that's the final tally on the weekly prizes. They're $30 each. So if you got 3, you get 90. And then the other prize for the regular season was the most points, and that went to Bart and Zach. They were in control of that all year. It got a little bit close at the end. Like me and Noah both technically had it. Noah had a better chance, but we both technically had a chance going into last week. We would have needed to outscore them by over 60 or 70 points, which is possible, but they held on. They had a good enough week to hold it off me and Noah, and they got most points in the regular season. So that's an $80 prize. So Bart and Zach with 3 weekly prizes, most points already. No, if they lose their first game of the playoffs, they're still going to walk away with 170. That's tough.
So what is 3rd place prize? What is 2nd, and what is 1st?
So third's not getting anything.
Oh, they don't even get money back. I know we used to.
We replaced the 3rd place prize with the most points in the regular season. So nothing for 3rd, but 1st place is going to get 1,200, and then I should have wrote this down before. The winner is getting 1,200, and then the 2nd place gets the remaining, which I believe is 300.
All right, let me figure it out right now.
I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's it. I have it all written down. But so the winner gets 1,200, then 300, and then that should all tally up to. We're 2 math majors here, and we can't figure it out. But
quick,
that's what it is. So.
Someone else do the math. We've done math in our life.
But if you make the championship, you make more than just your money back too. So
awesome.
So that's where we stand with some of that housekeeping stuff. So let's get into it. we can see, I know it's a blurry background, but we can see the dog jump.
I know. So I think he's trying to hump me right now. I need to take him on a walk, and now he's trying to hump me. Like, look, it's like, get down.
I want to hear his thoughts on week 14.
My thoughts on it or Sully's thoughts?
Sully.
Well, oh, Sully, stop it. He just knows, he knows that I was getting very intense at the TV, and I think he was actually like kind of nervous because I was acting funny. I was up and screaming at some points at the TV last week, so he's happy it's over probably because he's concerned. But
Oh man,
thoughts on week 14.
he's gonna be a lot more concerned when your playoff matchup comes up.
Oh yeah, this weekend coming up is gonna be brutal. You're going down, Dre. All right, but last week though, I mean, Drew is as clutch as always. I mean, as you just said, highest points of the week, fighting for a playoff spot, and he almost got it done. He was 5 points. If you scored 5 more points, then Drew would be in the playoffs right now instead of me.
Yeah.
And he was, what was it? He needed me and Ryan to both lose both of our matchups, be below the median, and for him to go 2-0. And that was 5 points away from that happening. So good try, Drew. You don't deserve it because you have all your fab, and you drafted 5 tight ends. I have no idea how you even got close, but good game.
And he ended the year with the least points in the league, even though he came 5 points away from making the playoffs, which is insane.
Yeah, most Drew thing ever. He just finds a way to win.
It's crazy. But so like you said, he went 2-0, won the weekly prize. He did all he could, but he was in a position where he was 11-15. So he needed a lot of other stuff to happen, even if he had a great week. And so I didn't care. I was already in the playoffs going into last week because I had too many points that even if I went 0-2 and other people went 2-0, I had too many points to be caught. So I was already in. So I needed Achane to score like 18 points to win on Monday night, but it didn't really matter to me because I was in, and it mattered a lot to Drew, who needed. So he was rooting for Achane to be able to go out there and beat you, but it didn't happen. I think he ended with 12 something, and I lost by a couple points. But
I think he was like an inch away from getting a touchdown. I went to the bathroom and I think I saw a replay like while I was in there of him like being an inch away from a touchdown.
And that's
so Drew was an inch away from being in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you were that far away from being out, which is crazy. But that's how close it is. So let's start from the back of the league where we did have a pretty intense battle for not last place. And Chris went 0-2. He missed the median by less than 3 points. And
down.
Just include him at this point.
It's like, go lay down. Stop it.
It was a great first recap of the year. Chris missed the median by less than 3 points, and that's what put him in last place. So he fell just short. Kyle ended 9-19 in 9th place. Chris ended 8-20 in 10th place. And you mentioned it before, but Chris ended with the 6th most points in the entire league and still came in last place. He had more points than you did.
Yep. Six most points for in last place is unheard of.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. And he didn't even know didn't he say something like every single week he started Jefferson, he lost? How did that even work?
No. But Justin Jefferson, just the injury this year, it killed him. And then even when he got him back last week, he immediately left with an injury. So, not the Jefferson pick. Now, again, I don't blame him at all. Like, everyone was taking Justin Jefferson. Everyone. I mean, it's the curse of the first pick. Whoever goes first is getting hurt. Like, that's just if he took Christian McCaffrey, it would have happened to McCaffrey.
Right. So, it's true.
So, but that's how that fell. And now Chris gets to rock this on the Civic for the red Civic for the rest of the year until we have a loser next year. So fantasy football loser on board. We are going to have to trust that he's keeping it on his car because he doesn't live around here. But I believe that he will.
I believe he will too.
Until a tree falls on his car and it's destroyed. In eighth place, we had Ryan Hilsey, who went 0-2 this week. He lost by 3 points to Noah. So he finishes in 8th. He had a shot to make the playoffs, a good one, but his team did not perform at all when he needed them to. He had every opportunity, but unfortunately for him, I mean, he lost by 3 points and he lost CJ Stroud to injury during that game and only got 3 points.
Absolutely rough.
It's the way fantasy goes. And it's like he finally had Cooper Kupp come through with 25 points, which hadn't been happening. His running backs have been great. I mean, honestly, Raheem Mostert had to have been the best pick in the draft this entire season. Like he was the most I think he's the RB2 overall right now. Like,
I'm looking at it right now. He's RB2. Unreal.
So Ryan with one of the best picks in the draft and had Mostert all year, but it still wasn't enough. And then, he loses Burrow to injury, but Stroud has been better. Even when Burrow was playing, Stroud was better than him. And then it's just that's just the worst, right? It's one thing to lose a player to injury. It's another thing to start a player in a good matchup and then have them get hurt early on and just absolutely screw you. Like you can't win, even though he still lost it.
Yeah. Considering the situation Hilsch was in this year, he did very good. I mean, he had the stack with Burrow and Chase. Burrow got hurt, so that destroyed his stack. He drafted Kupp in the middle of the second, which was probably a good place to draft him, and Kupp has just been horrible. Or at least just not Kupp at least. So, I mean, and now you're saying he lost Stroud. Everything is going against Hilsch right now, but he still almost got in the playoffs. So good job, Hilsch.
Yeah, I mean, ETN was a great pick. Mostert was the best pick in the draft, and the other one in contention for the best pick in the draft is also Ryan's with Sam Laporta, who was one of the best tight ends in the league. So he made some good picks, and it's unfortunate for Ryan the way that it fell, but But we knew that Ryan had no clutch gene, so we knew no matter what however it happened, he wasn't getting those.
It was more like cheering on like the bench warmer, like at the end of the game. You're up by 30, you throw in the bench warmer and
you can do it.
He shoots a shot. You go, Ryan, go.
Man. So you were so close.
Didn't we do this in summer league? Didn't we put him in basketball?
I wasn't there, which was part of the reason that he went in. But yeah, he went in the game and everybody thought he was a special needs student. So that's kind of the same thing with his fantasy team. So I was trying to be nice to Ryan. We were for a little bit, but that didn't last long. So 7th place was Drew, who we already talked about, 2-0 this week, but it was not enough. So moving on to the playoff teams. I mean, it was first, was there any final thoughts from week 14? I mean, it was a crazy week. There was a lot of people around the median, but that was pretty much it. I mean, Kyle put up 126 in a good week to avoid last.
Yep.
But other than that, I think we're on to week 15.
Yep. Great week.
We have 2 important matchups because we had Noah get 2nd place with a first round bye, and then Bart and Zach with 1st place, which those were both already wrapped up going into this week. So we already knew that those 2 had the bye. So the way the final seeding worked out, now Andre jumped. He was in 5th place going into week 14 with a big 2-0 win, 139 points. He actually jumped all the way up to 3rd. And all that really matters between 3 and 6 is seeding. And who knows if it even helps or hurts you. But Andre jumped from 5th to 3rd this week with that win. That got him to 15 and 13. So Andre's the 3 seed. And we talked about you getting in at the 6. It's going to be you and Andre next week. So how do you feel about your big matchup with Andre?
Well, according to the projections, we are dead even. I mean, It's a 50-50 chance for both of us to win. I know the projections don't mean much, but I think it's going to be a close one. He's got a solid team, but, it's a lot of boom-bust players, so we'll see how it goes. He could score nothing, he could score a lot, and I'm probably just going to be somewhere in the middle. Yeah, that's my prediction. It's going to be a close one, but I'm coming out on top, Dre. This is my year. So
for you, there's a lot of – I think people in our league, our league's gotten way better over the years, and people have gotten smarter and more competitive, and it's part of the reason I think our league's always so close is that everyone keeps getting better and better. I'm looking at both of the playoff matchups next week. There is a lot of really, really good matchups in these games. So for me, the couple key players for you, Brandon Ayuk going up against Arizona is a great matchup. That's someone that could go off for you, which I hope that he does because we'll get to mine, but I'm starting Brock Purdy. Yeah. And TJ Hawkinson against Cincinnati, who has Nick Mullins coming in at quarterback, which I think is a really good thing for Hawkinson. Yeah. I think that's way better than Dobbs throwing to him.
Dobbs was horrible, yeah.
And Cincinnati's a good matchup against tight ends. So Hawkinson and Ayuk are two guys that could go off for you. The third player that stood out to me that I think could go off for you, Kansas City defense going up against the Patriots.
That's right.
That's a big time play.
I was like, all right, if I'm making the playoffs, I just need a few good weeks. I'm going to grab a random defense that is a great matchup. I'm like, perfect. The Chiefs playing against the Pats. Let's do it. And I've plugged and chugged them all year just for this moment. So they better not disappoint me.
Bailey Zappi going for 404.
Yeah, right.
And then for Andre, he's got Devontae Adams going on Thursday.
Go lay down. Sorry. Go ahead. He's biting my fingers really hard. Like, jeez.
He's got Devontae Adams going on Thursday with Aiden O'Connell throwing him the ball, going up against Easton Stick, who is like, that's the name of a hockey stick. But apparently he's the quarterback. So that is going to be a low scoring game, and that's going to be difficult. So I think Dre needs to hope for just a half decent game from Devontae, like, because he could very well go out there and like goose the way this game could go. So hopefully for Andre, not for you, Aiden O'Connell just peppers Devontae with targets and he gets a bunch of short catches and maybe a touchdown.
Probably will.
He probably will, but that's a tough one. So that it'll, and that's Thursday night. So that'll, be how the matchup starts. But then for Dre, David Njoku against Chicago, and Njoku's been one of the best tight ends in the league.
Yeah, he was huge last week.
Yep. And then also Jahmyr Gibbs going up against Denver, who Denver is technically ranked one of the worst rush defense in the league. It's inflated because they gave up like 800 yards and 8 touchdowns to Miami that week. And they've been playing way better lately, but still Jahmyr Gibbs is somebody that could put you away.
Yeah.
If he has a huge game.
He's been amazing, honestly. I mean, he started off slow, as we all know, but as soon as he came back from that 2 weeks, was he out that week? Weeks 5 and 6, he has 0 points. I'm assuming he was hurt. I don't remember that. But ever since then, it's 27 points, 29 points, 26, 21. Like, he's been huge.
Yep.
So he's been a great running back, and I'm nervous about him.
Yep. And then I'm the 5 and Sam's the 4. So that's the other matchup for next week. And for me, I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in our matchup right now. Last week, Sam loses Justin Herbert for the year. So Sam goes into the playoffs actually with 5 consecutive losses. So he's been up at the top of the league all year, lost his last 5 to end the regular season, and he loses Justin Herbert.
Rough.
Of course, I have Keenan Allen. So that became like oh man, I don't know if Keenan Allen's literally a top 3 wide receiver. So it's like, how do you sit a top 3 wide receiver? But he's got Easton Stick throwing him the ball. Luckily, right before this, Keenan Allen was ruled out. And I say luckily, I genuinely saw that, was like, thank God. Like, I did not want to have to decide, because I probably at the last second would have thrown Keenan Allen into my lineup. Like, how can I bench a top 3 wide receiver and had him go out and put 2 points? But between him being hurt himself, Herbert being out, so no Justin Herbert, no Keenan Allen. So we take the Chargers out of this for our matchup. So
it's even.
Yeah.
Luckily, you have an amazing bench, though. I mean, which luckily and unluckily, because you're always going to have like that one player that goes off in your bench.
So that's why it's part of the reason that I was relieved that Keenan Allen was out, right? It's not like I'm pivoting to some waiver wire guy. Like, that would not be good. I'd rather play Keenan Allen. I'm like, and I don't know for sure who I'm playing yet, but like my options have been DK, DJ Moore, like James Cook, Zeke, like most of these guys have been on my bench for most of the year.
Yeah.
So my bench literally outscored my starters last week. So like, for me, it's going to come down to if I play the right guys, as always.
I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but you have the most max points for in the league right now.
By a lot. And not by a lot, but like, I mean, I always have the lowest percentage of, like, out of the max points I could have got, how many did I actually get? That by far, I'm the furthest away from my max points based on my actual. Which again, it shows that I have good depth, and it shows that it's very difficult to figure out who to play every week.
Yeah. And if we ever go with 2 flex, which we will next year, I'm going to try to get it to happen, then Devon is going to be horrifying, because every single year he has a great bench.
My bench is usually better. I'm just going to decide who to play. I'm going to fade myself and just play whoever I think won't do good. The other interesting things in me and Sam's matchup that's going to drive me insane this week. Like, I might not make it, right? Because so he picks up Matthew Stafford, which I put in a waiver claim for him, trying to block Sam from getting him. But Sam smartly saved some fab. So he's the only playoff team that had fab going into the playoffs. He was able to grab Stafford because of that. Stafford against Washington is an awesome matchup. I don't think Sam losing Herbert is going to hurt him at all. I think it might help because Stafford has such a good matchup. I think Stafford goes out and has a great game.
I think so too.
But the thing is, I have Kyren Williams. So it's going to come down to who gets the touchdowns, right? Is it Matthew Stafford throwing them? Is it Kyren Williams running them in? That could make the difference in the matchup. My quarterback, Brock Purdy. Sam has Christian McCaffrey. Same exact thing going the other way. That's two matchups that if touchdown, like that to me is the difference in the game is those four guys, who gets the touchdowns. Now, obviously, Purdy could throw it to McCaffrey and it cancels out. But like if Purdy's throwing them to Ayuk and Debo, Sam's going to have a hard time beating me. But if he gets them down to the goal line and McCaffrey gets 3 touchdowns, I don't think I can win.
Which McCaffrey is probably, what is the ratio of touchdown passes to rushing passes or rushing touchdowns to passing touchdowns with the 49ers? Probably more rushing touchdowns, right? Because McCaffrey's
the same.
Yeah, that's wild.
Now McCaffrey's caught a lot too, which again, that would just cancel him out. But those San Francisco red zone trips and those Rams red zone trips are going to decide our matchups. And I'm going to be, I might not watch. Like if I'm watching red zone, I see the 49ers having it, I'm going to turn the TV off.
Yep. Totally fair.
And then the other thing too, we both have a Monday night player, assuming I play him, DK Metcalf, and Sam has Tyler Lockett currently in his lineup. So we could very well go into Monday night with DK versus Tyler Lockett, which again,
another great matchup to watch for your game. Yeah.
Yep.
You guys have by far the most electric matchup this week.
Which means that I'm going to die because I'm not going to be able to handle it.
Yep. Either you're going to be like excited that your player might score, but then again, his player could be scoring. So it's going to be horrible.
And every time something goes your way or doesn't go your way in those scenarios, it's like a 12-point swing because not only did my guy not score, but his guy did.
Right.
So it's going to be crazy, I think, because of those different things. But I feel good about my team. So to me, I'm just like, I need to make my decisions early. We all, you brought up the whole Waddle thing last week, and I'm glad nobody saw it. So I'm the one to bring it up this week. But that was me panicking at the last second and changing. I had made up my mind and I changed it at the last second and panicked. That's what I am not going to do. Like, I'm going to decide. And unless there's any late breaking news of some new information, I'm going to decide and I'm going to stick with it. And I'm going to go based on matchups and do what I think's right. And if it wasn't the right decision, so be it. But that's I think how you have to do it here. So.
And looking at your matchup though, one thing I did want to bring up that I just remembered is Sam has all green on his matchups. Like, do you know, like when you show the team name, like color, it's all green for him.
And that's one thing that I was talking about earlier in your matchup too, is that all 4 of us that are playing this week, just so many good matchups because my team has some good matchups too. Sam's is literally all green.
Literally.
Like there's not a single person in his lineup that has a bad matchup. For me, it's everyone. Like Mike Evans going up against Green Bay. That's not the best matchup. And I got Trey McBride in there against San Francisco right now. So those 2 are, but other than that, all mine are green too. So could be, I predict for both of our matchups, very high scoring games. That's what I think we see this week.
Me too.
Anyone remembers week 15 last year? It was extremely low scoring. Like there was I think our game week 15 last year, first round of the playoffs was like I know I lost by like decimals, but it was like 115 was around what we both scored. And I think this week you could get a bunch of us in the playoffs scoring above 150.
It was 119 to 120 our match last year, yeah.
And I think it was one of the higher scoring games that week. So I think the opposite is going to happen. I think it's going to be a high scoring week, a lot of good matchups for a lot of big players. And it's going to be unfortunate for 2 people if I'm right, because there's probably going to be 2 people that go and put up like 140 something and lose in the playoffs. And what are you going to do? So that's fantasy for you. But any final thoughts going into the playoffs here? or that you know, because we didn't get to talk about it on the recap all year, or anything that you mentioned last week that nobody heard?
I can't. I know I mentioned a lot in last week's recap. I can't remember.
It was really good. It was a great, probably the best one we've ever had, and just nobody's ever gonna see it.
Yep. Oh well. Well, if I win this week, I'm going against Bart. Bart, you're going down. Actually, it's more Zach. I always spell it Zach. Z-A-C-H.
It's Zach.
It's Zach. Yeah. Zach is going down. I don't care if Bart's on that team. He doesn't do anything. So I'm gonna kick Dre's ass. I'm gonna kick Zach's ass, which Bart's a mascot of that team. And then whoever's in the championship, I'm hoping it's Sam, because I want one of us to win a championship. That's my prediction. This is my year. This is happening. Let's go.
On that note, people, good luck in the playoffs if you're still in it. If you weren't in the playoffs and watched this, appreciate you. Thank you very much. Bart, Zach, and Noah spending this week with their feet kicked up, watching us all fight it out while they wait for us in the semifinals. So good luck, everyone. Jake, thanks for joining. Good luck against Andre.
Thanks for having me. See you guys.